We're here in the studio with Coach Eric Ketterman. Thanks for being with us tonight, Coach.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, sir.
Of course, head coach at Gettysburg High School and also in the South Penn League, the Cashtown Pirates. We'll talk more about that later. Station founder Raymond Gauker is here. And Corey Smith, of course, as we take a little interlude on Sports Chat. Coach, talk a little about the season your team had. Great start. What, first 5 or 6 in a row?
Yeah, first 5 or 6 in a row. We got off to a hot start. You know, it all started back in September. I tried to rally the troops. Just, you know, I had been the assistant coach for 10 years under Ryan Brady, and so taking over the program from him, we weren't going to change a lot, but we were going to throw some curveballs just to keep them on their toes, you know, and just try and keep the program healthy and growing. And so I wanted them to get together and we just, you know, we tried to hit the ground running in September. We got a lot of participation in the fall. We went into the weight room through the winter time and still a lot of participation. And so when we actually got outside on the field in March, you know, it was all systems go. I mean, those guys were ready and raring to go. They were chomping at the bit. They had really honed their skills so we could get off to a good start. And you know, it showed. You know, I think the hard work they put in really showed. You know, their baseball IQ really jumped a ton over the fall and the winter, and I think that, you know, presented itself early. You know, the division that we play in, I mean, it's a bloodbath. I mean,
Gettysburg had a great season.
They
right?
had a great season. You know, at one point, 5 of the 8 teams in our division were ranked 1 through 5 in our district, and some of them were state-ranked schools. You know, so when those 5 teams are in your very division, I mean, every day is a knife fight. You got to be prepared to bring your best every single day. And so I knew we had to hit the ground running in March to compete. Those early season games mean a lot. You drop an early season game or 2, and you're going to regret it later on. And so I was proud of those guys. They did really well out of the gate.
And congratulations to you on your first season as head coach, qualifying for the district playoffs.
Thank you.
And Warriors had they been last year? Did they make the playoffs?
We did not make it last year. It's funny because we had the same group of kids. They just didn't quite have the gusto they did this year. So.
Mm-hmm. And we talked about this before coming on the air. A special talent. They think he might go in the top 60 of the draft in the whole U.S. of A. Tegan Kuhn. Talk about Tegan and the challenge of managing him and preserving him, and at the same time taking maximum advantage of his talents.
So, you know, coming into this year, we knew we had Tegan, and Tegan's a special talent. There's many different facets to coaching Tegan and managing Tegan this year, and that really started back in September as well. Just having conversations with his family, with Tegan himself, the athlete, as well as Tegan's trainer and his professional team, you know, that he had set up. I mean, and honestly, no disrespect to those guys, but pretty much every decision had to be agreed upon between his team and myself. You know, when he was going to throw, how often he was going to throw, how many pitches he threw, when he would practice, all of those types of things. It was a daily rigmarole at times, just trying to work through the schedule. You know?
So the pitch count was not determined by you?
No. Or innings pitched, or... You know, now later in the season, yes, when it got warm, but early on with the cold temperatures and so forth, yeah.
Who calls the pitches?
I call the pitches.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so.
Yeah, and I think that happens a lot at the high school level, softball and baseball, and I've covered enough games. I think I deciphered one coach's, he would just yell out numbers, and like an odd number was a fastball, and even number was a curve.
You got to have a healthy mix where you want your athletes to grow and think for themselves. You know, you would like to think that high school catchers have enough experience that they can call their own pitches. You know, and that can be a controversial topic in baseball today, you know, whether you're babysitting your players and calling their pitches or you're leaving it up to them to grow. I prefer to call the pitches, especially in sticky moments, but I always like to pull my pitcher and catcher aside after the inning and explain, do you understand why we called that pitch in that situation, and so forth. So they do get the opportunity to grow, but I'm also kind of keeping them between the bumpers and helping them be successful. you know, in my mind.
And then you can take the rap if a hanging breaking ball ends up out beyond the fence.
I do.
It's
I
on
do.
you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What about Cashtown? You call the pitches?
I do not. Those guys, they don't like me telling them what to do in Cashtown. I pretty much just stack the lineup in the order I think they should be hitting that day and let them go at it. You know, so.
Pinch hitting in later innings, defensive subs? No.
Yeah, I do some of that. I do some of that. Sure.
Well, I've been hogging all the time here. Go ahead, Corey.
How's the team look for 2025? You know, with some of the seniors that left. You know, we talked about Teagan, but you know the other seniors that left.
So we graduated 5 seniors this year, and they're all good athletes. I think 4 of them are headed off to college to play at some level. So, you know, they were big parts of this program. All of them, I think, played since they were sophomores at the varsity level. So there's definitely some holes to fill. Defensively and offensively, our lineup, it won't be that much different. I think we're going to compete really well in that phase. But obviously losing Teagan and Wes and Johnny, we're losing some pitching innings there. So we've got some younger guys need to step up, and they're out and about right now playing some Legion and some travel baseball and local South Penn ball and whatever they can to get reps and get better. So, yeah.
Let's talk about your son, Zach. I mean, what a great career he had, and did he go cap and gown and the graduation, or did he have to miss the?
Actually, one of the cool things they do down there at Western Carolina is he did not get to walk on the stage, and most of the baseball players are okay with that. The coaches in the past have been okay, if you really, really want to walk and you're going to miss a game, that's fine. There's always a home series scheduled for graduation weekend. So one of the cool things that happens is the rest of the university graduates on that Saturday. And obviously in college, you're playing a Friday game, a Saturday game, a Sunday game. Sunday, before the game, the chancellor of the university, along with some other personnel, actually come down to the field. They have a little stage set up on the field, and they graduate the baseball players on the baseball field in front of all the families and any fans that want to be there that day. And then they move on to play the baseball game.
So they're in their baseball uniforms?
They are.
Okay.
They are. I have videos and pictures.
Diploma.
Yeah, I prefer that over walking on the stage.
Absolutely. I mean, it was really it was emotional for me. I mean, but it's special for the players as well. I mean,
They still get pomp and circumstance on the.
They do. And honestly, the college athletics, he's spent more time on that baseball field than anywhere else on the campus. You know, so.
And if they win the game, they get extra pumps and circumstances.
Free ice cream at McDonald's.
Free ice cream. Yeah.
So, Coach.
Yes.
Head coach. What was it like?
You know, I've told everyone for a long time that being the assistant coach was the greatest job in the world, because I just got to show up and do what I love to do. I could just show up and coach and go home, you know. There's a lot more administrative duties being the head coach. You know, and one of the things that it really hit me between the eyes early on was we were deciding what to do personnel-wise or roster-wise. And one of my assistant coaches looked at me and said, "It's your program, coach. Whatever name goes on this program is up to you. So you're the one behind it, all the decisions." And I thought, wow, you know, that's a little bit different than just being able to coach the kids for 2 hours, give them a little bit of input, hop in my car and go home for dinner, you know. So
the buck stops here, as Harry Truman said.
yeah, but it was enjoyable. It's nothing that I haven't been prepared for or experienced for. I mean, I have a ton of experience, I think, between South Penn and teener leagues and travel balls and little leagues and running organizations. You know, I was prepared for that. It's just, you know, coaching high school kids is really cool. It's really fun. You know, the growth you see in young men, young athletes, or young ladies through their high school years, and watch them grow into be young people and help mold them into good young people is pretty cool.
So the important thing as the coach is to realize that the player, the relationship with the player, is more important than the X's, the O's, and that without that helping them find their potential. Without that, it's
absolutely,
and you can't do that without a relationship.
Well, right, you know, and one of the things that I really tried to key on taking over in September was I need to draw some emotion out of them. You know, if you want to lead other people or you want to lead men, then you have to make them feel as though you care about them. If you make them feel like you care about them, they will fight to the end for you, and so, and it's not that you want to make them feel, I genuinely care. I want to make sure they're going to school, or they're headed towards their trade, or headed for the right job, staying out of trouble. Are their grades okay? What do they need help with? Do they need tutored? And then when we get to the field, are we working hard? Are we, being a good teammate? Are we doing everything we need to do to be prepared? And so I just really wanted to make sure that they understood I cared about them, and I think that showed as well, because right down to the very last out in Shippensburg, they were just warriors the entire time. So
You're the main advocate.
yeah,
Some of those kids may not even have that.
absolutely. I still have players from when I was an assistant coach who reach out to me on social media, or they'll bump into me and give me a hug. So you don't realize how much of an impact you can make on someone else's life. Sometimes you think you're just going through the motions day by day, checking the boxes, and you don't realize I really picked that kid up today, or that it really made their day for me to help them, or teach them, or just be kind to them. So
It's like the stuff beyond the game.
Absolutely.
Just kind of, yeah, you want to win the game, but the fundamentals of just a life lesson outside and such there as well.
How to be a good winner and a good loser.
That's right. So, we talk about this a lot. I mean, we're all sports-oriented people, but sports, in a lot of ways, is metaphors for life. There's a lot of valuable lessons every day in every sport. Win, loss, tie, whatever. You can pull a lot out of that and apply it towards life. And I think a good coach can help kids do that, especially at the high school level.
And a lot of times that's the only place that they have the opportunity to connect with and have those experiences.
Sure, absolutely, yeah. I mean, especially the kids, you can identify them. My wife is a teacher, and so she's an elementary teacher, and I've learned a ton about relationships and relationship building and support systems through her and through her experiences with elementary school kids. And just, some of us in this world don't have the same support system, and they didn't have the same opportunities because of that. And so if you can have a little empathy, for that, and really get down to their level and help them, it goes a long way in their lives. It just makes our whole community better.
Let's talk about the draft, the Major League draft. I mean, here you are, your first year as head coach, and all of a sudden you've coached a player that is predicted to be drafted. And Zach, I mean, is it possible Zach will get drafted?
It's a possibility. I mean, there's one of the cool things is there's actually a possibility this year that we have 3 baseball players from Gettysburg High School that would go in the Major League Baseball draft. Tegan Coons, Alexander Meckley, who is at Coastal Carolina. He pitched pretty well this year. He's pretty highly touted in the draft, and possibly Zach.
Zach, Corey Seager-esque.
Yes.
Is that a good? You like that?
Yeah.
Left-hand hitting, power, has power, tall fields, great glove. What, only 4 errors all season or something like that?
Yeah.
And this is the coolest stat. I've been talking about this for years. Was a starting shortstop for the Cashtown Pirates at age 13.
Yeah. Won his first championship at age 15.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. And not to mention football. We covered him. We covered his games as quarterback and. Basketball, they had some great teams in hoops too.
They did.
So if he weren't playing baseball, would he be playing some hoops or?
He would have quarterbacked somewhere, probably at a Division III school, where he could get on. But yeah,
I'm thinking more like now recreationally moving forward. He's got South Penn League.
Yeah.
So
I hope he has other stuff. Before
I hope so too.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
But you got quite a rivalry going with Hagerstown.
We do. Yeah.
Talk about that.
They came into the league during the COVID year in 2020, and of course, when you start talking about men's rec leagues or men's adult leagues, or even just baseball leagues in general, things have been sliding downhill for a number of years. It's harder to get people out and participate.
Sure.
People
they don't want to be firefighters, scouts, you name it, anything, right?
Right. So when you get an opportunity to add a few teams to your league, you take it. And there was a team in the West Shore that folded, and 2 or 3 teams wanted to come in, and we took them in with the opening arms. And I just remember telling everybody, I knew a little bit about Hagerstown. I said, make sure you understand who you're letting in the league. They're really good. They're probably a different brand of team, but because they don't have another place to play, they're in our league.
Hagerstown Junior College has a baseball program.
Yes,
top flight.
Those guys. The Hagerstown South Penn team is mostly made up of Shepherd University, Mount St. Mary's, Hagerstown Junior College. They're all college kids looking for summer reps. Versus the old South Penn. That league was when I broke in, it was a league of men. Mm-hmm. Now it's a little more college kiddish and so forth. Guys in their 20s, but not college athletes the way Hagerstown is. So it's a challenge to go up against them, and we embrace that challenge. I think they enjoy playing us as well. We have a big game tomorrow night at Meredith Park, which is the brand new $85 million stadium in Hagerstown, and
$5 to get in.
$5 to get in because Hagerstown graciously paid the fee to play. They want to play in there, and a brand new stadium. The owner says yes, absolutely. The board of supervisors says I don't know. So there's a couple $1,000s had to be paid, and it's not just a fee for nothing. I mean, you pay for a concession stand to be open, security, and cleanup. So you have to pay for professionals to play in a professional stadium. So
who you're going to pitch?
Yeah, I think so.
We're not live, so you. Tomorrow. What the game time is
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock, and they have lights, I assume.
They do.
Okay.
They do. Yeah.
That's
It's
cool.
an opportunity to play in a great field. I told everybody on our roster, make it if you can.
Yeah.
We're not going to play everybody. We obviously can't, but just to have the opportunity, even the high school kids that are playing Legion and so forth, but they're still listed on my roster, but they don't show up regularly. Throw a jersey on and come down and be in the dugout. It'll be a good opportunity, a good experience. Mm-hmm. So.
I love the KG vets. I've known Chris Shackle since he was my son's age. I've known him since he was a kid.
Sure.
So I guess players that come out when they can, and they're going to help you, and
Chris Shackle loves it so much. He works in Ephrata and still drives to Cashtown to play. He'll get there game time on a weeknight. He's got 3 young kids, and I pretty much raised my kids on a baseball field. I played my adult life, and I started having children, and that that network of baseball became our social network. The other players and their wives and their kids, and so they grew up on a field, and I think Chris saw that. There's a couple, Chase King, all of those younger guys that I was the old hat when they were just breaking into the league. They play for me now, but they're all having their own children, and it's pretty cool now on a Sunday afternoon. You finish your second game in Cashtown, and there's 6 or 8 kids playing baseball out on the field like my kids did. So
J.C. Collins, grizzled veteran, right?
Grizzled
Play
veteran.
wherever you need him.
Yep, absolutely. He comes around every now and then.
But that was very popular when we were young growing up, that you would go through the baseball leagues and you would play for your town.
Sure.
And Cashtown was always the tough team.
Yeah.
But it was a community connection.
Sure, absolutely.
It was just like you were a volunteer fireman too.
You're right.
Right.
Yep. I mean, when I first broke into that league when I was 17, I mean, that was a league of men, and there were still men playing in their mid to late 30s, and they were tough, hard-nosed.
Grafton Wagner.
Yeah.
The knuckleballer to 55 or something like that.
Yeah.
Throwing the knuckleball.
Jack Greenhold and Barry Fitzes, and those old grizzled veterans were just tough as nails. And if you were a college kid, you had to wait your turn.
Yeah.
You were just going to play. And
so think of all the legendary pitchers you faced as a batter over the years. You think who was the toughest?
Took it for granted.
Who was the toughest you ever went up against?
There were some guys from Tawnytown that were ridiculous. They were
the brothers or whatever they played.
They were ex-professionals. They were throwing low to mid 90s in our men's adult league. I mean, it was silly.
Getting back to Tegan Coons, because this reminded me. What was the most jugs guns you saw at any game? Do they still call them jugs guns or whatever?
Yeah, there was a lot. And that was a whole an issue too. Everywhere we went, everywhere he pitched, I had to let the athletic director know, because there'd be 30 scouts there to watch.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
sometimes more. You know, we had to have a section cordoned off for them so they wouldn't interfere with the game, or, you know, and so they you wouldn't have parents hassling them or this or that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely an adventure, you know.
So next year should be easier.
Oh man, it's going to be really quiet. You know,
I mean,
for
it was
sure.
special. It was special with what you've been dealing with, but
yeah, it's going to be really quiet for sure. You know, and not, you know, it's one of those things. It's one of the conversations I had to have with our high school team early on. Was, you know, let's embrace this. All right, let's not run from it. Let's not be scared of it. But also, let's not go over the top and show off and do, you know, try and overwork or overproduce. Just be ourselves, you know. They're going to be here every day. They're going to be there watching, you know. Let's just.
and they're not here to see you, but if you happen to impress somebody, yeah.
It's every game's an opportunity. Baseball's not a game of failure for me. It's a game of opportunity. So, you know, every game that Teagan got to pitch, there'd be 32 teams there watching, and everybody on the field had an opportunity to play. So. Yeah, it was a conversation we had to have, and I think the team handled it well. So
There are a lot of cautionary tales with pitchers, and I guess that's why it's so crucial to preserve the arms. But like Tim Lincecum, Steven Strasburg come to mind, you know, guys that they're throwing so hard, it's inevitable that they're going to break down. So, I mean, I guess that's the biggest challenge for a pitcher is how do you, I mean, it seems so common for these pitchers to have Tommy John surgery once or even twice.
Yeah, it's tough. And, you know, so the conversation around Teagan early on was I going to let him hit and play shortstop? You know, and that was a long conversation. I knew which way his family wanted me to go, and I actually sought out, before talking with Teagan himself, you know, because it's such a touchy subject. Yeah, he has an opportunity to be a professional athlete and cash in, you know, a paycheck for millions of dollars. But at the same time, he's a 17-year-old high school kid who just wants to play baseball.
Right, and help his team win.
And help his team win. He wants to hit. He wants to play shortstop. I sought out advice from the elders that taught me pretty much everything I know, and they came back with a resounding answer, and that is no. Don't be the coach to screw this up. You know, if he was a 4th round pick, a 5th round pick, a 6th round pick, okay, let him play. And most of the scouts would say the same thing. It takes one fastball when he's hitting to his hands to break a finger, and he can't pitch the rest of the year. You know,
or a concussion and a collision at second base. When he's
you know,
shortstop.
and one of the resounding things they kept telling me, the same phrase was, every game Teagan gets to pitch is $1 million interview. So if you get him hurt because you want him to play shortstop for a handful of games, then it's on you, and he can't cash in his multi-million-dollar deal. So, you know, I wanted him to be happy with it. You know, he accepted it. He knew it was probably coming, but again, it was a conversation between his camp and his parents and myself and Teagan, and then the rest of the team as well, because
that could breed resentment. How did the team handle that?
Well, one of the bigger things I had to tackle was that once Teagan, we call him a PO, a pitcher only. Once we determined he was going to be a PO, that meant that we had to have a conversation with his camp about when's he going to pitch, how often can he pitch, is he allowed to throw at our practices, what's he allowed to do with us and not. Mm-hmm. And so we realized real quickly that Teagan wasn't going to be with us a lot. He was going to show up on his game day and pitch. He was going to show up on every game day and support the team, but there was a lot of regular practice days where he wasn't going to be with us. He was at his other facility working out, doing what he needed to do to be a professional pitcher. And so the high school psyche, man, you can have jealous teammates really quick. You know, it's just the nature of young people. And so we had to have a conversation about Teagan is here to help you. Yeah. He's going to show up. He's a professional level pitcher. He's going to show up and hopefully win games for you. You need to embrace it, you know, play behind him. And there are days when he's not going to be here at practice, gutting out practice the way you guys are, and we just have to accept it. Understand, he's not taking any reps away from you guys. He's not going to play shortstop over any one of you. He's not going to take at bats away from any one of you. But he's going to be here to support you, and he's going to be here and pitch his butt off when he can be here. So.
Yeah. And look at the numbers, like what, .063, ERA, 0.63, and what, strikeouts per inning off the chart.
Sure.
Not many, great control too.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, He's the whole package.
Now, how was it last year when he went out to Seattle for I think, with the Future Star?
Yeah, he was in Seattle. I think he was in Taiwan for a little time through July, August, and September. It was good for him. I mean, sometimes, we have an athlete like that, you just hope that they're being challenged in the way they need to be. So, he was able to go form some bonds with some other pitchers that perform at his level, as well as just compete against other hitters that can compete there as well, So, yeah, it's been a fun ride with him. I really wish him the best,
We've kind of touched on the issues here. Ray Gowker, our founder, is also a member of the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame, the Adams County chapter, and we're collaborating with the Hall of Fame and a series of productions featuring members of the Hall of Fame. The first one with Lefty Beiser, legendary trainer, and I think we're going to kind of segue into, and you've alluded to it, but the value of sports. Ray, what else do you want to ask Coach about?
Well, this first video that we're going to see, as Jeff, who is a Hall of Famer himself, brought to our attention, is on respect. The importance of respect, and Lefty does a great job. We're going to look at it here, and then we're going to talk a little bit about your experience as a coach and the nurturing of respect among your men.
Sure.
Okay.
Where is the respect for the people that want you to play for them? Where's the commitment? Commitment's critically important in athletics. You don't have anything unless you have commitment. Commitment to the coach, commitment to your players, commitment to those who want you to be more than what you are, and a lot more than what you want to be, maybe in some ways. And I think many times we lose that idea of how important respect is to give to those who've given us opportunities. I've had wonderful opportunities, and I really thank people for had given me those opportunities, because that's who I am based upon the opportunities that they've given me. So respect is critical, really critical.
89 years young, Lefty Beiser.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember Lefty?
I don't remember Lefty. I've heard stories of Lefty. I've heard stories of Lefty when he played in Cashtown and there was no outfield fence, and he would hit balls into the chestnut trees and just.
You believe that?
Yeah.
Joke, isn't it?
Yeah. There's actually
George Washington threw a quarter over the Potomac too.
Well, he was from Maryland also, Frederick, Maryland, and the way he got to Gettysburg was their baseball team would come to Gettysburg to play against the college.
Okay.
And he was a pitcher. He was a left-handed pitcher, and a person of character. Very much so.
Yeah.
And
Humble man.
Humble man. And when you look at respect, is this something that people are born with? Is this something that they're nurtured and then they come to the high school? Or is this something that they learn when they get to the high school and learn it through sports? What can you...
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think there are some people that are born with an innate type of personality that understand what respect is early on. I think it can be nurtured in households and in families, and how they raise their children and how they teach them to behave and treat other people. I think when the school district, I hate to say school districts, they don't really parent kids, but sometimes they do. And teachers have a big role in shaping young people and teaching them how to be respectful to one another, respectful to authority, respectful for materials, for books, pencils, and just, in generally being respectful. I think when you start getting to the high school level, I can speak for our high school baseball program. It started with a different word, actually, was accountability. That was a big word for us, and if our teammates can be accountable to one another, they can be respectful to each other. They have respect for their teammates. If they're accountable each and every day at practice and each and every day, they're not just accountable at the baseball field, they're accountable in the classroom. They're accountable when they're out in the community. And I think when you're accountable to each other to be a better person, a better teammate, that shows you respect them, you know. We end each and every one of our practices or games with a handshake and a look in the eye, you know, thank you for the opportunity today. And, you know, I expect our athletes to behave that way. So, you know, I think respect is started at a young age, the idea of respecting someone and their characteristics and how they behave and what they think. But I think a lot of us we bear a responsibility in shaping our young people as they come up through and kind of helping them along the way, you know, especially with coaches. I know a lot of fellow coaches out there that at times have just lost their cool but at the end of the day, they still come and shake my hand. They're still respectful. You know, they're a colleague. They're trying their best, and so you know that's another thing. Is just being respectful of everyone around you, understanding that we're all different people. You know, I think a lot of times our society wants to make us all robots, but we're not. We're all different people with all different strengths and weaknesses, and the willingness to accept that and respect each other is it's important. It's like a rule of life, honestly. You know.
And he mentioned the importance of commitment.
Mm-hmm.
He mentioned the importance of helping each other find their potential.
Sure. That's just being a good. We don't call our team a team. We call it a family. You know, and so when you're a family, you're there to pick each other up. You know, when one of us falls short, another one picks them up, and we carry on. And we preach that all year. I think that's a resounding theme with good coaching and athletics, you know, throughout our society. I think that's, you know, the ability to commit to one another, to commit as a teammate, to commit to the team, and to put other people ahead of yourself is the ultimate goal in my mind as a coach. You know, to get those guys to buy in and put their teammate ahead of themselves, no matter what their situation may be, shows respect, shows commitment, shows all those good characteristics.
How tough that is for a person to think of others over themselves.
Absolutely.
Especially in the high school age.
Especially when you're 16 and 17, it's really tough, you know. And you know, I'm a big believer in culture and chemistry, you know. And I think if you can create that, the winning and the losing, that'll take care of itself, you know.
And as a coach, if you have limits, if you have standards,
absolutely,
then the players may push a little bit, but they know that you care.
Absolutely.
And as you said, the relationship is the important thing.
Absolutely.
Is there a warrior way?
Sure, there's a warrior way. I forget what that is. There's a slogan at the high school, right? Be committed. What are those words? Be committed. I don't know. But there is a warrior way. And honestly, what we just talked about, everything we talked about embodies the warrior way. It embodies just being a strong teammate, high character, high morals, you know, a high standard for ourselves and our program. And we represent all of that whenever we're walking the street, everywhere. One
more video,
okay,
if you don't mind.
Sure.
This one here is concerning being a teammate. And of course, you know, that's one thing you get out of athletics. But as Megan Cherie from SCAP pointed out, being connected to a community is very important for the youth. And people can be connected through a volunteer firemen. They could be connected in the theater. They could be connected in the orchestra. But you know,
Local government, there are a lot of ways to serve.
Right. Sure. But football's
Service
baseball,
club. Sure. Yeah.
And sports is tough.
Sure.
You know, it's a tough way. So if we could see this next video.
Well, I think for me, it's been the friendships that I made, and some of those most of them are lifetime friendships. You know, you still have the same. If they're still living, you still have the same contacts. You get together, you meet. The dependence on the other guy. You know, if you do your job, he's got your back. He's going to do his job and protect you or help you, whatever he can. So, I think the loyalty that you gain from being a team member, and for me was a lot of confidence. I think confidence in teamwork is is really important through athletics. You gain a lot of confidence in playing together, playing with each other, because you know if you do your job and they do their job, you can't lose. I mean, even if you're losing on the scoreboard, and growing in life and growing in respect for each other. And I think that is really, really important and critical for life, for me anyway, has been.
Some of your best moments being on the football or baseball team and
The camaraderie. I mean, I've played rugby for many years. I played football too, but I think you touched on it with baseball, like the South Penn guys. The camaraderie, that's who you want to hang out with when you're not playing baseball. I'm the same way with my guys. So.
Sure.
which is different than being friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it goes a little deeper than just being friends, or associates is a word that sometimes I hear, but well, he's not a friend, he's an associate. I'm not sure what that means. But.
Well, you hear old war veterans speak of the same thing, sharing a foxhole in a tight situation, and that may be a little bit dramatic, but when you compare it to the sports world, but the ups and downs, the emotional highs and the lows that you share with your teammates through the course of a season, the cold games where you're shivering, and the hot games where it's like the desert out there, and then
the cricket numbers, or just the ups and the roller coaster of emotions there throughout.
Without a doubt. I mean, our high school team this year, we were lacking a little bit of offense. We had a lot of pitching and defense, and so there was a lot of games we won 2-1, 3-2, 1-0, and it's when you have each other's back, and you're going to go out there, and the best guys are in the best positions to make plays, and you're supporting each other, and you just naturally build tight bonds with those guys, and you start to trust them. You care about them, and that's when really special things happen, And a lot of people forget that 90% of the athletes that are coming through my baseball program, that's the end for them. They're not going to play sports much more anymore, If they might play a couple years of South Bend baseball, if they're, if they want to, but by and large, the high school venue is the end of the athletic arena for them. And so if you can make it special for them, make them feel involved, you build that chemistry, and help them believe in one another. Just like Lefty said, you'll have friends for life. You'll remember those memories. You'll come back to that for the rest of your life, and you'll have something in common, a good bond with those men.
Yeah, I can speak for that. I mean, when I got done playing baseball after high school, I was done, and I still talk to friends from baseball 10, now 14 years, and just kind of like, hey, you remember that game? Remember this, that? So it's just it's embodied.
The older you get, the better you were.
Yeah. I think one of the things that a real good marker for this is every year we seem to get alumni that want to come back and help coach. We've got kids that are so proud of the program, have gotten such a positive experience from our program that they want to come back and help and hand it down to the next generation. And that's, to me, is a special thing.
Can I digress for a moment? Baseball, I've been around the game for a long time. You even more so. Chatter. Whatever happened to chatter? You know what I'm talking about?
Chatter.
Chatter, like we say, come on, baby, hum, baby,
well,
hum,
you
baby.
have to be careful now. Yeah. That's honestly, softball still does that a lot. Baseball is not as much, but it's gotten so competitive, young men, you just got to make sure we're chattering for our own guys,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, well, not trash talking.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you're supporting one another, and it shows that you're involved in the game.
Sure, absolutely.
But it's faster, it's quicker,
it's
stronger.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the friendships, there's nothing like coming upon someone that you played with, and it's like you never were apart, It's like, boom,
Sure, absolutely.
That emotion, that bond.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, thanks for talking
Thanks
about
for having
these
me.
values.
Yeah. When is the draft?
Not to the middle of July.
Okay, we
Or
don't
the All-Star break, I think
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
know the exact. We have to figure it out.
It's the
date.
14th, 15th, and 16th.
Okay.
So.
Well, good luck to you and all the young men you've invested in,
Yeah.
including Zach.
Yeah. I wish them well in their journeys.
Yes, for sure. And you certainly helped them along the way.
Yeah. Appreciate the kind words.
Great role model.
Yeah.
Yep. Hope to have you back.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Coach.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Eric.
thank you.
Eric Ketterman, head coach, Gettysburg Warriors, Cashtown Pirates, among your other duties throughout the week. So thanks so much for being with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.